for everybody. There's enough room. There's thousands, millions, billions of fans out there. Why do we need to compete with each other? Why do we need to be so cutthroat? And I want to be a company that shares resources, that wants to build a actual connection with other artists that are interested in the same thing. I'm so sick and tired of how this industry is ran. It's nauseating. So I'm really stepping into it to change it.
Welcome back, and we are Xraged No Justice, and I am your host, Kimberly Trapani. It is my pleasure to welcome on my show Taylor Calhoon, the band manager of Symmetrical Definance. But it doesn't stop there. She started acting in 2021, working with Chris Fiore on My Brother Kane, and with Sean Jubilee. Welcome, Taylor. I see your vice president title. How are you?
Good. I'm good, Kim. Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be on with you.
Can you tell me? Good. It was a bright, sunny day in upstate New York, and we are getting it started, and we have been hyping you up all week, and so excited to have you on the show again. You are amazing. Can you tell me a little bit about Symmetrical Definance?
So we are a band based out of Rome, New York, and basically our whole mission is to shake and rattle this cage that kind of the standards, if you will, that we've kind of been put in. We don't fit in a box. We basically do everything we can to fit outside the social norm, because that is accepted as well. And it's about time that people accept that, different is okay. And, having a different opinion, having a different stance, and having a different view is one of the best things about people. Makes us unique. So that's kind of where we stand, is basically be uniquely different. Don't stand in a flock of sheep. Be your own person.
And that's funny you mentioned that, because when I was going through my master's degree at Full Sail and I had to come up with different slogans, I was at a point with the COVID thing. I came out with a slogan, helping people together, but then I'm like, bring your different, be unique. Don't be the same thing. What sets us apart from the rest? And we don't have to be the cookie cutters of the industry anymore. Can you talk to me a little bit about your band and the dynamics and how you are unique?
So the number one thing I like to mention when I talk about our uniqueness and our dynamic is we don't fit in a typical genre. Everyone's like, so what type of genre metal are you? Are you death metal? Are you this? Are you that? We like to call ourselves conglomerate metal, because our influences range from Pantera to Avenged Sevenfold to Behemoth to Black Dahlia Murder. It's all over the place, even some Dimmu Borgir. So there's a lot of different influences that come into play. So we really don't fit in a box right out of the gate with our style and how we write and how we construct music. Our guitarist Rex, he thinks of things that I don't even know how to put it into words. He literally just comes up with these things that shouldn't make sense in a song, and he makes it work. And that's one of the unique things about us too, is you have this genius like him musically that can just put together something. Our drummer Evan, he can play anything. That's half the test I put him through for show days. I'm like, Evan, play me some jazz. It's great to see the metal drummer up there playing jazz, and everybody kind of gets in on it. So we don't fit in a box, and we take a lot of influences from other music too. It's not just metal. There's bluegrass influences, there's country influences, there's jazz, there's classic rock. So it's a little bit of everywhere for us.
That's awesome. And last time I talked to you, you were giving a live performance. Are you touring right now?
We're kind of wrapping up the end of our tour season. We have a show this weekend in Rochester at the Photo City Music Hall, which I'm really excited about. We're actually going and opening up for Two Shadows, Prawn, and I believe Aggressive Betty is on that bill as well. So I'm really, really excited to
That
go out
is
there.
so exciting! Woohoo!
I
Exciting!
know.
Everybody needs to go out and see you in Rochester. My cousin Flipper Weinerman. You better go to Taylor's show. Check that out. I'm
I'm going to be looking. I'm going to
counting.
be looking for you now.
Yeah, absolutely. And are you also, I know you had a music video come out. Are you streaming? What's going on? What are the upcoming projects? Are you making more music videos? What's happening?
Right now, we're kind of trying to finish wrapping up the album that we talked about last time. The music video for Devour the Sun is on YouTube. That was filmed by Matt Peters with Mad Angel Films. That was kind of like in conjunction with Xgrinder 666, as I had mentioned last time. We had featured our song in Xgrinder 666, and kind of in a return, he's like, "Hey, you want a music video?" And I'm like, "This would be awesome." So we kind of did a little conjunction thing there. And so far, that's kind of all we have working on. We're waiting for the next album because we have some serious content on that. And theatrically, I really want to focus our energy into a really good music video.
That's super awesome. And can you tell me a little bit in managing a band? What goes in? What's your day to day to manage a band that's everywhere?
It's crazy. Any day can start from 8 in the morning or 3 in the morning. It kind of all depends. You're constantly getting messages. There's no days off. You're always answering about booking gigs, or you're always trying to set up interviews, or trying to set up, you know, meet and greets, or set up something so that way you can keep pushing forward. It's a lot of like managing other people's schedules too. There are 6 of us in this band, not counting employees, so it's crazy, especially once shows go on the road. You're trying to figure out who's available, what's going on. So it's a lot of planning, a lot of scheduling, accounting and financing, making sure the bills get paid, making sure things are taken care of, designing merch, making merch, all of that, ordering.
How do you, with so much on your plate, find myself as an executive or producer of a film company, like frazzled sometimes. What would you tell people in your seat that are wanting to manage a band? How do you multitask? How do you get through the day? And how do you stay calm with getting through the day when things don't always go as planned?
Well, I would say too, make sure you have a good team. If that's something you're going to get involved in, make sure you have a team that you can lean on. Without the support of a great team, it is incredibly hard to do this job. Um, our president actually does a lot of the work with me, so I don't have a lot of issues. You've seen him before. His name's Josh. I don't have a lot of issues with it as far as that goes. So make sure you have a team. It takes more than one person to actually run this flawlessly. Um, and also make sure that you try to keep your team on the same page. It's really hard when you have a bunch of people. So sometimes, as the manager, you have to make the decisions that nobody else wants to make. And you have to be okay with that.
We touched upon doing a non-for-profit last time and about the charity that you were giving to and how people were stealing from the charity. And let's talk about the scams in the entertainment industry. We asked the government to take care of the false impersonators. And I went to Joe Biden and I said, listen, there's like 5 Robert Downey Jr.'s hitting me up for Google cards right now. I know that not one of them is the real Robert Downey Jr. What are you going to do for us? And he decided that he's going to start monitoring AI. Do you think that that's a right approach to monitor artificial intelligence?
In this case, I do, because if they're doing it with someone like Robert Downey Jr., what's going to stop them from doing it with somebody like you and me? Not for nothing, it's been going on for a long time. Cybercrime has been a big issue, and I'm not surprised it's affecting the entertainment industry. I mean, everyone thinks that this is where all the money is, and there's a lot of money in the entertainment industry, but it just depends on what end of the industry you manage to tap into. So I just think that anything like that that's used to scam people should be monitored closely. And there should be harsher punishments for people that get caught doing that. Because at the end of the day, you are impersonating somebody, you're stealing their identity and using it to defraud other people. That's it's ridiculous. That should not be allowed.
Do you run into that with your music band at all? Are there scams going on? Are you mitigating those scams? Do you see that as a normal trend?
Not so much normal on our end, but it has happened before. Not that long ago, actually, I had an instance where somebody actually tagged us in a post about them ganking our merch. So all of a sudden, our merch is for sale on this lady's page, and she tagged our band page.
Oh
So
my
all of a
goodness.
sudden, there's like 30 tags, and then it's like at Symmetrical Defiance. So I click on it, and I'm like, so, but then part of me, instead of getting mad, part of me goes to our president and I show him the link and I go, not for nothing. I said, since they stole our logos and stuff like that, I'm like, is it legal if I just turn around and steal their ideas and put this on some sweatpants? Like, two can play that game, right? Because I own that logo. So, I mean, tit for tat. And we kind of
Yeah,
had a laugh about it, but then there's a lot of bots going around, and it is just that it's bots, it's AI, it's people. I don't even know what they're trying to do out of it. But, unfortunately, a couple of people did order from there. We had to put out a whole like public service announcement saying if it's not on our page, it's not ours. Like, it's sad because now my fans got ripped off and there's nothing I can
yeah,
do about that.
absolutely, definitely, and yeah, I've heard many times some of my quotes in the media, and they don't really say, "Well, that's Tramp Queen," or "That's Kimberly Trapani," or "That's All Consuming Film," or "That's the Chuck Artisan's business partner," and I let a lot fly. I'm a fair and reasonable artist. However, um, when it's affecting the people that I want to hire in the business and I want
Right.
them to make money, and it just with the good intentions that they're going to make money and not be stolen from. And as much as I want to give to the people that are saying the Robert Downey Jr. and they're in Nigeria someplace, I could feed the country some other way. And
Right.
yeah, so how would we, what would you tell people that are thinking about taking your logo or your song, or what would you advise them to do?
So I'm not one to usually toss around threats, but it's not a threat. It is a promise. Go ahead. I have a really good lawyer.
Yes, our lawyers are in business with a lot of people, and this is Hollywood's a small world. We have the list. We have the people on our list that we deal with that are reasonable and that we're going to work with from now until eternity. We also
Hmm.
have the list of people that aren't reasonable, and we have the list of the people that you never hire because they're unreasonable, and the clients associated with stealing, we have that list too. Um, can you tell me a little bit about what's the next album's going to be like? Can you give away any spoiler alerts? Is it going to be the same trend, the same genre, or are you implementing something different?
So this one, the next album is going to be more like our Opeth. So this one's going to hit heavy. It's going to hit hard, and it's taking us longer because we're trying to make it more meaningful. We're trying to really deliver the messages that we're trying to portray. And we're trying to make the album kind of go 360. Like a lot of albums, they don't tell a full story from cover to cover. We're trying to have it tell a story from the front cover to the back cover and kind of talk about some of the issues that we're facing in the world, some of the issues that we're facing with inside ourselves, you know, just basically all around issues that people are either afraid to talk about because they get pushback, or issues that people are afraid to talk about because they don't have support.
Absolutely and definitely. And we are amazed that you are coming on our show. We are super privileged that you are. I'm going to cut to a break for a tribute for someone. We're not going to do our standard commercial. We lost a friend, but when we come back, we're going to talk more about symmetrical defiance and mental health issues.
Still remembering the love of my grandma. I can't tell it all, stand tall, never fall. She would do whatever it took, put me to sleep with that good book. If I got out of line, she would just give me the look. Never did she raise no crook. She always gave, but never took. She was my bridge over that Pim Brook. So sincere, she was always there. Josephine, you still care? I'm right here. You taught me to love and have no fear. You taught me the truth and never be scared. You would always whisper in.
Welcome back, and I am your host, Kimberly Trapani, and Taylor Calhoun is so generous to give her time today on a beautiful November day, and we are so excited about Symmetrical Defiance. Symmetrical Defiance is a heavy metal band that you can stream paid everywhere. You can go see their tickets. They're coming up in Rochester. We're going to go check them out. Very, very exciting stuff. And Taylor, can you tell me a little bit about your role? I know we have to revisit this. Your roles with Sean and Chris and what you've done in the film world.
So my first role, as we touched on, was with Chris Fiore and My Brother Kane 1 and 2. I played the role of a stripper, and then I also played a sub in like a cocaine, like nightclub den type thing, like one of the underground deals. That was a lot of fun. That was my first time on set, and that kind of shook me up because you just show up and all of a sudden you're completely exposed in front of strangers. But that really like showed me that if I can do that, there's really not much I can't do in this industry. Especially with the right team and support and the right crew. And then with Sean Eugley, I did Clark County 3. I played a sniper, and that's not released yet. My Brother Kane 2 just came out on DVD. Clark County 3 is still in production.
That's awesome. So they're distributed to the world. That's great. So exciting.
And then I did a music video with Sean for a movie he has in production now called Introspection, but I can't talk any more than that.
Yeah, I did. I heard about that introspection video. It's going to be the latest new thing of 2024, right? The hottest new music video out there. Can't wait to see it.
That's what I'm hearing. It was an honor too to get to actually work side by side with Luca. I've worked with him before, but I never physically got the chance to work side by side with him. So that was really cool to actually have that experience.
Luca's amazing. He's another hot entity in the film world, and do not miss as well. He is a great friend, and he is a business colleague of me, and he's going to be coming up on the show as well. So very exciting stuff. I can't wait to see the music video. I cannot wait to see the new album that's getting dropped. Is it going to be like on vinyl record and stuff?
Unfortunately, as much as I would love to, I would kill to have our stuff on vinyl. It is so expensive to press vinyl. So I don't think that's going to happen until we are like Pantera or Metallica or, a common household name. But never say never, right?
Absolutely and definitely. And we're doing a lot with the mental health issues of the world lately because we're finding the whole country is like melting down. And according to the National Institute of Mental Health, a mental illness is defined as a mental, behavioral, or emotional disorder that can vary in impact ranging from no impairment to mild, moderate, or even severe, can't talk today, impairment. And do you think music can calm the brain, Taylor?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was mentally, when I first joined the band, I was in a really bad place. I had a lot going on in my life. Things were just sheer chaos, and it was a reprieve. It was a reprieve from all of that. And then the harder I started working in the industry and the more involved I became, the quieter that all kind of became. Like it never went away, but it got a lot quieter because I was able to focus that extra energy, if you will, into something that distracted me positively instead of allowing myself to be consumed by it.
Yeah, and that makes sense too. When you're in a room with a lot of music and a lot of noise, does your brain adapt to that music and that noise that's going on when you're working?
Yeah, it's almost like having a conversation at that point. Like when you switch over and somebody talks to you, it's so quick. It's like turning on a light. It used to be hard at first because it was an environment I wasn't used to, and I wasn't used to going out and having to operate like that. But now it's just almost second nature.
And we talked a little bit last time about practices in the band practicing. Do you go head on with them to encourage them to practice, or do you kind of step away from their practices and just go on tour with them? How does that work?
It's a little bit of both. I do show up in the studio. I don't hover over them because I myself am not a musician in that sense. But when it comes to recording, I am there. Practice, I kind of go and I kind of help them set up, like, because I have all the information about shows. So if their set list is 25-minute long, that comes from me. So I'll help them kind of get their set list. I have all their tracking and their timings and stuff. So I make sure that end runs smoothly. But other than that, I kind of stay out of the creative process and just kind of pitch ideas if they ask. Hey, do you like this? Yeah, I do. No, I don't. This is why. This.
Perfect. And what's coming up? What are the upcoming projects? You mentioned dropping an album. How long does that take to drop an album, and where does it go?
Albums are hard to give a timeline for because they can go pretty quickly if you have everything kind of already pre-mapped out. Um, but if you're actively writing it over the course of time and then making changes before recording, it can take a lot of time. Sometimes tracking the drums alone for one song can take me 3 or 4 sessions in the studio. So it really depends on also too how quickly we can get through our end of things, how flawless our playthrough is. Make sure everything sounds good and is cohesive and tight, and everything goes smoothly. It could be 3 months, or if we are picky, which we are, it could take a year, 2 years. We've been writing this one for like a year and a half now.
So it takes a lot of time, a lot goes into writing a song, and it's a special fine art to know the different instruments and how to compose together. You would think some people might think it's just an orchestra that has to take that fine art to compose together, but the same is true with heavy metal and performances. You have to compose together and work together. Does the band get along?
So I like to tell people it's a marriage, which sounds weird because there's 6 of us involved, but it is a marriage. So in a marriage, do you always get along with your partner? No. We spend a lot of time together. And when you create together and build together, there's obviously differences. There are days where they probably want to fire me and toss me over a bridge, but they can't. And it's just the way it goes. It doesn't mean that we don't get along. It just means that we're very opinionated. We wouldn't be any different with each other than we would be with our own music. So we don't bow down in our music. We're not going to bow down to each other.
This sounds like you have an exciting future with Symmetrical Defiance. What is your key to success, and what would you tell people if they want to go out and start a band about being successful in this business?
The big thing is, well, there's actually two, is don't have an ego. There are a ton of bands out there, as I've mentioned again before. There really is no need to compete. There's no need to have an ego. You should be confident. Also, to make sure you have a solid team. If you have a solid team, everything is possible, really. If they're all on the same page, common goals, you're pretty much unbreakable. Any threat, any issue, any hurdle, it's going to be obliterated against your team. And also to everything you do. I don't care if you so much as even think about doing business with somebody, write contracts. Contract, because word of mouth is not going to save you in this industry. Make them sign the paper.
Absolutely and definitely. I've got caught up in a couple of, that's really good advice. I said this in master's degree program. I got caught up in a couple of glitches, and people kept telling me get everything in writing. And it is so true, because this business, and we'll touch upon this a little bit about how cutthroat it can be. Some people say, oh yeah, I got a deal for you. And then the deal's on the table, it's hot, and then somebody melts down, or they pass away, or the deal was a bunch of baloney, like full of shit. And so tell me, Taylor, a little bit about you, and you mentioned contracts and getting things in writing. What goes into a contract for a deal with music? And can you tell me about some cutthroat scenarios you've experienced?
So for contracts, it varies dependent on the situation, but make sure key points are always negotiate pay in the contract. Make sure it's written. Make sure that all of your clauses are negotiated. So granted, it's not something we negotiate often, but if you have hotels in your clause with your pay, write it down. Everything that you're supposed to, I don't care if it's you're offered a package of Ritz crackers when you show up at the venue and a bottle of water, put it in the contract. Because if you show up there and they're like, no, you don't get the crackers and the water, you can turn around and go, then I don't play, because you just violated the contract. It's something so simple that we already agreed upon, and there's nothing you can do to me at that point, because I'm not the one that breached it, you are. And I have had that happen. I've had, it's people that you think you trust, or people that, you think have the best interest involved in, the sweet talk. But as they say, money talks, bullshit walks. And unfortunately, I've seen a lot of walking in this industry. Everybody talks a big game. They act like, that they're going to give you the world and sunshines and rainbows. And then they turn around and they stick it in your back. And then we'll call you up a couple months later and go, hey, I want you to play my venue. You're a joke. But yeah, no, there's a lot of cutthroat things in this industry. People are going to be mad because you're doing better. I've had people threaten to blacklist me for the stupidest things, all because we're minding our business, doing what we're supposed to do, or because I'll stand up for my band or myself, because I get disrespected all the time just for being a girl.
Yeah. I hear you there too, being a woman in business, and people say to me, who are you? I'm the famous A-list singer. I have a Grammy. And I'm like, I'm an executive producer of a film company and I can pay your paycheck. Who are you? And it just, they tell me, don't burn bridges, Kimberly. Well, I say, well, you just burned the bridge. It wasn't me. I'm the nicest person in this industry that wants to give people a chance to be successful. And that's one of our visions and accolades. When or how often do you feel demoralized, Taylor, on a as a woman?
It's not as often as it used to be, but it still rears its ugly head. But the beautiful thing about it is, and this is where my ego comes in. I know this is contradicting myself because I was like, don't have an ego, but in this case, have a very big ego. Because then it kind of comes full circle because they're like, oh, well, like, you know, I don't respect you. You're a woman, blah, blah, blah. Like, you're not a serious businesswoman. And, you know, I'm going to talk to the man and, you know, whatever. And then I turn around and I go, you're not going to talk to anybody because I said no now. Well, you're just the vice president. Well, you know, that's where you got it twisted because the answer is definitely no. So in a sense, when I deal with that, I flip it on its head and I'm like, oh, but yet you want something from me. That's really adorable. No.
Yes, I have to practice like the meditation thing. People tell me I have to meditate more often, and I look in the mirror and I go, no, 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 and definitely no.
Oh yeah. I have conversations with myself, so like you can tell when I'm having that during a meeting too, because you'll just see me sit there like this, and I'm like, Taylor, you're gonna behave today. You're not gonna don't show them this. They're not ready for it. Oh no, you're showing them. Taylor, no, that's too crazy. Reel it in. Like, you know, and unfortunately it has to be that way. Like I have to bark louder than other people. You know, most guys walk in, they go, no, that's bullshit. That's not how that's gonna go. And everybody's like, oh, okay, you're right. You know, and I say something and I go, oh, that's messed up. That's not how that's gonna go. And they're like, oh, excuse me, the bitch is talking. And I'm like, whoo. What? I'm like, excuse. I know you just said something, but I know you're not talking to me. And then they're looking at me like I've got four heads. And I'm like, today is not the day. I'm not the one, and you just picked your own funeral.
Yes, and I've had people, well, I've had creepy things go on in my life where they've taken pictures of me while I'm laying out and they go, oh, there's Kimberly in a bikini. Here's her picture. And I come back with, yeah, I'm in a picture with Ed Asner and Mark Rydell, and that's my period face. And I make it look glamorous and walk in heels as a woman and never ruin anybody's day. So that's better than an F you, get out of my face anytime. What?
Absolutely.
What three things would you do in the middle of a meltdown in business?
So my number one thing is I always get quiet. Because when the situation's blowing up, it's always the quiet one in the room that tends to command more attention than the one that's screaming and losing their mind. So I tend to get really quiet because everybody in the room's like, oh, that's not good. What's she thinking? You know? And then I handle it accordingly. Sometimes I do. I've literally walked into a room and I've thrown a book on the table and I've lost it. Like aside from flipping the table, I've lost it. And then there's other times where I've sat down and I've literally done the whole like mob boss approach and I'm like, listen, this is what we're gonna do. And you can either do it my way or you could do it my way. I really don't care. Either way, you're doing it my way. You know? And that's the way of it, unfortunately. But fortunately at the same time.
Very cool. Good words of advice. Stay quiet. And Christopher Reeve would have said, be still. You're saying stay quiet. Can you tell us about amazing projects that are coming up? Where should we go see Symmetrical Defiance? Where should we go see you?
So right now I actually don't have any anything for release on my end yet. I don't know anything about Clark County 3 yet or the release for Introspection. But our last show is actually this weekend in Rochester, and that's with Two Shadows. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to wrap it up. I love going and seeing everybody and seeing all of our fans and our friends and everything like that. But we've been going for about a year, and I'm tired. We're all tired. We're ready to kind of stay home for this season and record and just relax a little bit.
Very cool. And what venue are they playing in, and how does your audience get tickets?
We are going to be playing at Photo City, and you can actually reach out to me. I would do it before Saturday because you get advanced sale prices. And if you get a hold of us on Facebook at Symmetrical Defiance, we'll have the link available there, and then you can Cash App, Venmo, and we'll have them waiting at the door for you.
Absolutely and definitely. Anything else you want to tell us, Taylor, today before we wrap?
Not that I'm aware of. I just want to say thank you for having me on the show, Kim. It's always been a pleasure.
You are so awesome. You can call me anytime. You can catch us on Kimberly, ACF, Tropani.com. If you want to reach out to Symmetrical Defiance, I will get to them. DM me at All Consuming Filming. Thank you, Taylor, and you have a wonderful, amazing show. I'm excited.
Thank you, Kim. We'll talk soon. You take care and stay safe, please.
You as well.
Thank you.